Decisions, decisions, decisions. This is certainly a relevant topic. We spend all of our life making decisions. Some were probably good decisions, and I'm sure we remember some that were not so good. Why do we make good decisions? And then, why do we go and make bad ones? There are a lot of books out there that may explain it. I'll share one book later in the video. So let's get started. I dog sit my son's golden retriever, Hershey. When we go to the dog park, all the dogs greet each other. After a short time, I'll say, "Hershey, come," and he immediately leaves the other dogs and comes with me. People have told me that my dog listens well. I say, he's not my dog, but sometimes he thinks he is. Hershey likes me to throw a tennis ball. He even goes into the garage and takes a tennis ball off the shelf and brings it to me. Our neighbor has cats. I think you would call them free-range cats because they range all over the neighborhood. When I throw the tennis ball in my backyard, Hershey brings the tennis ball back to me. But he always glances over in their yard, and if he sees a cat, well, you can imagine what happens next. So in other words, what grabs your attention, influences your direction, and determines your destination. Once again, what grabs your attention, influences your direction, and determines your destination. For example, remember when you were learning to drive and you were on a 4-lane highway? Why were you told not to look at a car passing you on your left? Answer: if your eyes gazed at that car, you might begin to steer in that direction. And our intentions have nothing to do with your response. You might say, "I had good intentions." You see, Hershey had good intentions on bringing the ball back too. It wasn't always what ended up happening. People can have good intentions, but still end up in a bad place. What happens when you travel into like a big box store? Do you head to the tech section to see what's new? Maybe it's the big screen TV section, or the latest in audio equipment. Maybe it's the clothing section, or the appliance section. And let's not just talk about shopping, but what grabs your attention in things like music, books, magazines, movies, and so on. So remember, what grabs your attention influences your direction and determines your destination. I got this idea from a book by Andy Stanley. It was called The Principle of the Path. Unlike animals, we can choose what we give our attention to. In this life, we have the freedom to choose our course of action. But we are not free to choose the consequences of our action. So let's take a look at our decision-making process. When are we too old to play softball? This is a picture of my wife's father playing third base in a family softball game. He was in his 90s when this picture was taken. We make decisions every day. When to get up, what to eat for breakfast, if anything. It can get crazy to try to list all of your decisions in just the first hour of the day. I found a study that stated the average human makes about 612 decisions in one day. That equals about 4,900 decisions in a week, or 254,800 decisions in a year. Some big examples might be, where are you going to go on vacation? Are you going to the beach? Or are you going to the mountains? So what about snacks? That looks like a good healthy snack. Maybe not so much. And then how about some dessert decisions? Now that looks like a good healthy dessert. That looks like a good tasting dessert. And I really have to give you a short story here. When I was teaching, I used to tape these little Hershey miniatures onto tests if students did really well. They would get maybe a Crackle or a Mr. Goodbar, but I saved the dark chocolates for myself. We may think that we have decisions when we're in school, but big decisions come after we graduate. See, we move from a cozy environment of structure and friends to maybe the unknown. I used to take trips on the Appalachian Trail with a group of scouts, and on one of them we ran into a situation like this. The Appalachian Trail, is marked by white rectangles called blazes painted on a tree trunk. But here the blaze was missing. We had to send someone down each trail until they found a blaze. When they did, we then knew which path to take. The problem had been that the tree with the blaze had fallen down and the blaze was under the side of the tree. And then sometimes the right way is not always clear. I don't think I want to travel there. Should I or shouldn't I? And then there's blue jeans. The beauty of blue jeans used to be simplicity. They were blue and they were jeans. Now they're dark blue or light blue, medium color blue, boot cut, straight cut, bell bottom, regular fit, relaxed fit, distressed, acid washed, pre-washed, stone washed, pre-worn, button fly, zipper fly, you name it, holes, without holes. We get tired of making so many decisions, so we take a vacation to get it all away from it. And that was even a decision. Princeton philosopher Walter Kaufman coined the word decidophobia. He noticed that human beings are afraid of making decisions. We don't want the anxiety that goes along with the possibility of being wrong. You see, decisions wear us out. Think of a recent decision you made, and then see how you applied the following methods in making that decision. Truth. Whose truth? What is truth? The 7th book of the Bible, Judges. Here's a brief history leading up to the Judges. You may be familiar with Moses leading 3 million Israelites in the desert for 40 years. When he died, Joshua led them into the promised land. Joshua was their leader as they conquered the territory and settled in the land. Now the Israelites were living in the land, and Joshua had died. They were not a nation, but 12 tribes, each with their own territory. After Joshua died, they forgot what God had done for them, and they fell out of favor with God. They pleaded to God when things went bad for them. God raised up military leaders to protect them from other people who still lived in the territory. These leaders were called judges, not what we associate with the word judge. But the Israelites forgot what God had done for them. If you read from Judges chapter 17, verse 6, it says, "In those days Israel had no king, so everyone did as he saw fit." The NIV says it this way, and the Message says it in this method. In those days, there was no king in Israel. People did whatever they felt like doing. Things probably haven't changed much. Truth is still a much debated idea today. If someone told me there is no absolute truth, I would answer it. Is that statement an absolute truth? When Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life," and you quote that, you may get a variety of reactions. See, early Christians were called people of the way, and Jesus said he was the way. How about facts? Where do you get them? And it's so easy to distort the facts. I heard it once said that numbers never lie, just how they're used. You can make numbers say just about anything you want. As for other types of facts, how reliable are they? I'm tired of someone saying in an argument everybody knows as a basis for supporting their statement. And even so-called experts today have distorted the facts and lied to prove a point. So I say, examine the source. Maybe you make decisions on self-interest. Do we base our decisions on how it'll affect us, our interest? And how do we know whether we're actually skewing our decision in our favor? We can even blind ourselves in decision making. And with this, we can easily rationalize our choice in various ways. Some of us are probably experts at this. In Philippians, it says, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves." How about current thought? Are we swayed by current thought? Do we get caught up in a cause or idea without really weighing it against God's word? Politically correct is not necessarily biblically correct. How about to be popular? Or do we make a choice to be popular? or not cause friction. Peer pressure. Peer pressure doesn't stop after high school. And then there's superstition or magic. Tarot cards, Ouija boards, horoscopes, psychics, the psychic hotline. I always think, shouldn't they be the ones calling you if you have a problem? So maybe we should be seeking God's will if we want to make a decision. Seeking God's will is a big decision process. We may try some of the options stated earlier. Maybe we should even try prayer. But sometimes when I desperately want God's will, what I really want wasn't God's will at all. What I really want is what I want. Prayer, if any one of you lacks wisdom, he should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault. And then we should think about wise counsel. The more wise counsel you follow, the better your chances. And I always look at it this way. Wise counsel is like a can of paint. It only works when you apply it. Our choices affect more than just ourselves, too. From the prophet Hosea, he says, they sow the wind and reap the whirlwind. So what does that mean? We may think we are being a little wild, but the results are far greater or worse than we expected. Hosea was a minor prophet who was warning Israel of God's judgment because of their evil ways. And they weren't listening. Tony Evans says this, you cannot have freedom without restrictions. He tells a story of children playing at a playground. When the fences were taken down because they were kind of not in good shape, the children all played in the center of the playground, huddled together. When the fences went back up, they began playing in all areas of the playground again. There was a sense of security with boundaries. Imagine a sporting event like football, basketball, soccer, with no boundaries, no out-of-bound lines. Especially in football, a player knows there is safety in the sidelines. And then let's wrap it up with this. Does that give you the chills? How do you feel about driving on a road like that? What would make you feel safer on a road like this? Could it be something called guardrails? Well, I guess that's enough for now. I've certainly given you a lot to think about. I may have worn you out or even put you to sleep. So, hope not, and maybe we'll see you the next time.